The sky over Korea bled purple as the world's first and greatest hunter reached his limit. Gigantiana, the bringer of the apocalypse, loomed over the city like a mountain of scales and spite. With his team dead and his sword shattered, Kim Jun-woo prepared for one final suicidal strike. He lunged forward, a streak of violet light cutting through the absolute darkness of the beast's maw. As the monster crumbled into dust, the legend felt his own life force flickering out like a spent candle. He died with a smile, believing he had secured a peaceful future for the world he loved. Then darkness was replaced by the annoying beep of a hospital monitor and the smell of antiseptic. Looking into a mirror, he didn't see the scarred veteran he once was, but a frail teenager with soft hands. A nearby calendar revealed the horrifying truth. It was the year 2051, 42 years since his death. He rushed to the window, expecting a world shaped by the heroism of the new generation. Seoul had been rebuilt into a shimmering metropolis of glass and neon, far beyond his wildest dreams. Suddenly, the piercing wail of a gate alarm echoed through the streets, signaling a monster breach. Jun-woo's heart raced as he ran toward the danger, eager to see his legacy in action. But instead of warriors, he found a crowd of people holding up phones, filming the monster like a street performance. A flashy sports car skidded to a halt, and a girl in a designer outfit stepped out, posing for a drone camera. She treated the hunt like a music video, performing choreographed moves while her support team adjusted her lighting. The sacred duty of a hunter had been butchered into a hollow circus for social media likes. He realized that the system he died to build had been rotted from the inside out by greed. To fix this world, he needed more than his old memories. He needed his legendary weapon. He tracked down his former vice leader, Woo-ik, who was now an old man running a prestigious academy. Walking into the headmaster's office, he spoke to the old man with the familiarity of a brother. Woo-ik nearly had a heart attack when the teenager mentioned secrets only his dead captain could know. A heavy, crushing pressure filled the room as Jun-woo released a sliver of his true veteran aura. The headmaster fell to his knees, recognizing the unmistakable presence of the legend. Jun-woo learned that his sword was locked away in a high-security vault, guarded by the corrupt Hunter Association. The only way to get close enough to steal it back was to enroll in the academy as a student. To avoid drawing attention from his enemies, he requested to be placed in Class E, the worst class in the building. As he entered the room, he was met with the stares of social outcasts and failed students. He found an empty desk in the back, ignoring the whispers and mockery of his new classmates. A group of loudmouthed bullies from Class A burst into the room looking for someone to harass. Their leader, a rich boy with a golden watch, slapped a bouquet of flowers off a nearby desk just for fun. Jun-woo watched them with the bored eyes of a man who had faced true monsters. The bully noticed the new transfer student and walked over, intending to establish his dominance. He grabbed Jun-woo by the collar, laughing about his scholarship status and weak appearance. With a movement too fast for the human eye to follow, Jun-woo's hand gripped the bully's wrist. The sound of cracking bone echoed in the silent classroom as the bully's face twisted in agony. Jun-woo leaned in close, his voice a deadly whisper that chilled everyone to the bone. He told the boy that status didn't matter in a real hunt and that he was currently nothing but prey. The Class A students scrambled out of the room, leaving behind a trail of fear and confusion. Jun-woo sat back down knowing he had just declared war on the academy's social order. But his victory was short-lived as he noticed a girl with striking red hair watching him from the doorway. She wore the badge of the student council, the very people who controlled the vault where his sword lay. Her eyes met his, and for a moment the air between them grew heavy with unspoken challenge. As she walked away, a notification appeared on Jun-woo's vision, a message from the monster that killed him. The message contained only one countdown, 30 days until the true Gigantiana returns. Kim Jun-woo stood before the massive gates of the Hunter Academy, clutching the transfer documents that would reset his legendary life. He watched as students arrived in luxury cars, more focused on their social media follower counts than their mana stability. To avoid the prying eyes of the association, Jun-woo had requested the worst-performing class in the entire institution. He pushed open the creaking door to Class E, finding a room filled with students who had already given up on their dreams. In the back corner, he spotted A-hyun, a girl whose eyes reflected the same betrayal he felt when he saw his legacy corrupted. His presence was immediately challenged by a group of wealthy Class A bullies who had wandered into the lower wing to taunt the trash. The leader of the group, a boy named Ju-ok, sneered at Jun-woo's cheap secondhand uniform and wooden training sword. Jun-woo didn't even look up as he placed his bag on a desk, ignoring the insults that would have once sparked a war. Enraged by the lack of reaction, Ju-ok swung his mana-enhanced fist toward the back of Jun-woo's head. Without turning, Junwoo tilted his head by a fraction of an inch, letting the punch whistle harmlessly past his ear. He grabbed Juok's wrist with a grip that felt like crushing iron, forcing the bully to his knees in a single motion. "A hunter who swings before they think is just a monster waiting to be put down," Junwoo whispered. The other Class A students backed away, sensing a terrifying pressure they couldn't explain coming from this weak transfer student. Junwoo released the bully and sat down, his mind already moving on to the more pressing matter of his declining physical stamina. Hyun approached him after class, her voice trembling as she asked how he could move so fast without activating a skill. "Skills are just crutches for those who don't understand the flow of mana," he replied, looking her in the eye. He saw potential in her, a raw, unrefined talent that the current commercialized system had deemed worthless. He told her to meet him at the old training grounds at midnight if she truly wanted to survive the upcoming exam. That night, the training grounds were desolate, reclaimed by weeds and the silence of a forgotten era. Hyun arrived early, clutching a basic sword and shivering in the cold mountain air. Junwoo appeared from the shadows, holding nothing but a broken branch he had picked up from the ground. He attacked without warning, forcing her to react on pure survival instinct as the branch moved with the speed of a whip. "Don't look at the weapon, look at the intention behind the movement," he shouted as she stumbled. For hours, they repeated the same drills, pushing her body past the limits established by her weak stats. By dawn, her movements had changed, gaining a fluidity that baffled her own understanding of her body. Meanwhile, in the Academy's administration office, the corrupt principal was finalizing a plan to remove Class E entirely. They needed a scapegoat for a recent incident in the dungeon, and the lowest-ranked students were the easiest targets. Back at the Academy, the news of a surprise practical exam spread through the halls like wildfire. Class E was to be sent into a low-level dungeon, but Junwoo's instincts told him it was a trap designed to fail. He approached Hyun and told her to prepare for a real battle, not the sanitized content the others were used to. Juok and his lackey stood at the dungeon entrance, laughing as they recorded a live stream for their fans. Junwoo stepped past them, the air around him dropping in temperature as his old warrior spirit began to surface. Even Juok felt a chill down his spine, his laughter dying in his throat as Junwoo glanced back one last time. The group entered the dungeon, a damp cavern filled with the smell of rotted meat and stagnant mana. Junwoo immediately noticed that the mana readings were fluctuating wildly, far above what a B-rank dungeon should allow. Suddenly, a swarm of red-eyed monsters emerged from the ceiling, their screeching echoing through the tunnels. While the elite students scrambled and screamed, Junwoo stood his ground, moving his wooden sword in perfect defensive circles. He wasn't just fighting, he was harvesting, every strike calculated to drain the mana from his foes to sustain his weak body. Hyun stood back to back with him, using the blue flame technique he had taught her to keep the swarm at bay. From the monitoring room, the professor's eyes widened as he realized the weak Class E was clearing the room faster than the elites. He reached for a hidden red button, his face twisting into a mask of desperation to maintain the corrupt order. Deep within the dungeon, the ground began to shake with a frequency that Junwoo remembered from the end of the world. A massive shadow rose from the abyss, its presence suffocating the mana of every student in the room. Junwoo realized this wasn't just a boss, it was a fragment of Gigantiana, sent to finish what it started 40 years ago. As the elite students fell to their knees in terror, Junwoo stepped forward, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "You're early," he whispered, the wooden sword in his hand beginning to transform into a blade of pure darkness. But as he prepared to strike, the exit portal behind him suddenly flickered and vanished, sealing them inside with the nightmare. Hyun screamed as the monster's claw descended, and the last thing Junwoo saw was a message on his system: synchronization error, absolute death imminent. The air inside the dungeon was thick with a damp metallic scent that signaled an unnatural presence lurking in the shadows. Kim Junwoo narrowed his eyes as he noticed the mana readings on his system were fluctuating wildly beyond the expected D-rank parameters. Behind him, Hyun and the other Class E students stumbled over uneven rocks, their faces pale with mounting dread. He realized that the practical exam had been deliberately sabotaged by the Parents' Association to eliminate him under the guise of an accident. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoed through the chamber, causing the ground beneath their feet to tremble violently. A massive, three-tailed feline monster with glowing green eyes emerged from the darkness, far exceeding the dungeon's safety rating. The corrupt instructor fled toward the exit, leaving the students defenseless against the apex predator. Junwoo stepped forward, his aura shifting from that of a weak student to a seasoned war veteran. He instructed Hyun to maintain the rear guard while he prepared to dismantle the beast alone. The feline pounced with terrifying speed, its claws slicing through the air like obsidian blades. With a movement too fast for the human eye to follow, Junwoo parried the massive blow with his wooden sword. The students gasped as they saw the simple wood hold firm against the crushing weight of a B-rank monster. Junwoo twisted his wrist, using the monster's own momentum to throw it off balance. He activated the Patelis ring, causing a blinding surge of ancient mana to flood the chamber. "You were never the hunters," Junwoo whispered as he prepared his signature technique. He lunged forward, becoming a blur of purple lightning that bypassed the monster's defenses. The three-tailed beast screeched in agony as its mana core was shattered by the precise strike. As the monster dissolved into harmless mana particles, silence returned to the deep cavern. Ahyun ran toward him, tears of relief streaming down her face as she realized they were safe. Junwoo did not celebrate, knowing that the real monsters were the ones who sent them here. He led the group out of the dungeon, only to be met by a wall of high-ranking association guards. "The exam is over," Junwoo declared, his voice carrying the weight of a supreme commander. The news of the Class E survival spread like wildfire, causing a massive scandal for the Hunter Academy. President Wook watched the reports with a hidden smile, knowing the true rank number 1 had finally returned. In the following days, Junwoo worked tirelessly to secure the legal evidence needed to dismantle the Parents' Association. He met with the families of the students who had been silenced by the corrupt system in the past. Armed with their testimonies in the dungeon logs, he prepared to deliver a killing blow to the academic mafia. The final hearing was held in a grand hall, packed with the most influential figures in the Hunter world. Junwoo walked into the center of the room, throwing a black box containing the rigged cores onto the table. The corrupt leaders sputtered and denied the accusations, but the digital evidence was irrefutable. One by one, the warrants for their arrest were issued, stripping them of their titles and power. With the corruption purged, a new sense of hope began to take root within the Hunter Academy. Ahyun stood at the podium of the student council, her voice strong as she announced the new training reforms. Junwoo watched from the back of the auditorium, a rare, genuine smile appearing on his lips. He knew his work was far from over, as the 42-year countdown to the apocalypse continued. He visited his own memorial at the Black Tomb, placing a single white flower at the base of the statue. "The foundation is solid now," he whispered to his former self. "The world is ready to fight back." He gripped his wooden sword, feeling the resonance of his power growing stronger with every passing day. Surrounded by his new friends and his old legacy, Kim Junwoo prepared for the ultimate battle yet to come. The rank number 1 hunter was back, and this time, the world would not fall into darkness.